How's it going, everybody? It's Eong here with part 2 of the Kojima Productions movie logo analysis. Today I'll basically be relaying a few bits of information that I missed in part 1 of my analysis, which I highly recommend you go back and check out first. A lot of today's information comes from the community's comments, so before I begin, I want to say thank you to everyone for sharing your thoughts and theories in the comments. Now, if you have watched part 1, then you may recall that I talked about how the Kojima Productions logo movie might be more than just a logo movie and be somehow connected to Death Stranding's teaser trailer based on various interesting parallels between the two footage that go in opposite directions. For example, both footage begin with prints on the sand, but one features handprints while the other one features footprints, which I theorized might symbolize the stages of man's life based on the riddle of the Sphinx from Greek mythology, which basically states that man walks on 4 feet in the morning, referencing how we crawl as babies. They walk on 2 feet in the afternoon, referencing how we walk upright as adults, and they walk on 3 feet at night, referencing how elders might walk with a cane. So the theory I suggested was that Death Stranding's trailer represents the morning stage of man's life based on how the handprints look like they're crawling their way towards Norman Reedus' character, while the Kojima Productions logo movie represents the afternoon based on how Ludens leaves a footprint as he confidently walks upright from the get-go. And towards the end of the logo movie, we even see representation of night as Ludens lays down the flagpole that may symbolize the cane in the Sphinx's riddle. And maybe on a higher level, this represents that Death Stranding will begin where the Death Stranding teaser trailer takes place and then eventually move on to outer space in the later stages of the game. I also talked a bit about how the handprint and the footprint might symbolize stages of human evolution, as noted by how our ancestors used to walk on 4 feet until they evolved to walk upright. Furthermore, I mentioned how evolution is further represented by how the movie logo is shot so that it initially seems like Ludens is underwater, only to reveal that it was outer space the whole time. All life on Earth began underwater from microorganisms called the Archaea, which eventually evolved into species that could live on land after billions of years, including us Homo sapiens. And now, with technology having come this far, one could say that the final frontier of evolution is space. So the theory is that the trailer is showing us the beginning and the finish line of our evolution. I also pointed out how both trailers end similarly, with camera panned back to show a desolate, stranded main subject amidst a vast landscape featuring whales and seawater in the background. But the main subject in Death Stranding's trailer is completely naked and has a very primitive caveman-like way about him, while the logo features a character who is fully equipped with a high-tech spacesuit. As for the landscapes, while they're both desolate in nature, one is very Earth-like in setting, featuring a black sand beach ravaged by dead sea life, while the other clearly takes place in a foreign planet in outer space. Both footage also feature whales, but on one, we see dead whales stranded on the beach, a representation of Death Stranding, while in the other, we see one whale stranded on this foreign planet that is somehow alive and well and joyfully hopping about, a representation of Life Stranding. Furthermore, the whales in Death Stranding look very real and tangible, while the one in the logo movie looks like it could be something akin to augmented reality, very virtual in nature. So my point is that between the handprints versus the footprint, the desolate beach versus the desolate outer space, the imposing caveman versus the imposing spaceman, the dead whales versus the live one, and Death Stranding versus Life Stranding, there seems to be a clear connection here, parallels that go in opposing directions. However, there is one more clear connection that I missed last time, and that, my friends, is the motif of the rope versus the stick. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this by now, but for those who aren't, basically Kojima took inspiration from this idea from a novel by Japanese author Kobo Abe that mankind's first invention was the stick to keep threats away, and that the second invention was the rope to keep things they care about close and connected. Kojima's goal with Death Stranding is to make a game that features not only gameplay equivalents to sticks, like you would find in most games, like kicking and punching and guns and other types of weapons, but also gameplay equivalents to ropes that players can use to form connections. Kojima didn't elaborate beyond that, but that's the idea. As a result, you can see that Death Stranding's trailer features a lot of symbolism for the rope, chief among them being the umbilical cords found on all the dead sea life, the umbilical cord connecting the baby with Norman Reedus' character, things like the strands found on the title cards and the game's title itself, and things like the handcuffs on the character's left wrist, which may suggest he was linked to someone else at some point. Interestingly enough though, there are no symbolisms for the stick anywhere in the Death Stranding trailer. Now, the opposite is true for the logo movie. There's no clear symbolism for the rope, but there is clear symbolism for the stick, as represented by the flagpole spear that Ludens is holding. And check this out. Ludens is holding the stick in his left arm, similarly to how Norman Reedus' character is wearing the rope in his left wrist. Furthermore, notice how both the stick and the rope feature this blue light emanating from them, perhaps suggesting that there's some kind of connection here. Hell, maybe they use the same technology from this fictional universe, hard to say for sure, but I think the more we compare the logo movie to Death Stranding's trailer, the more it becomes clear that the two are somehow connected, at least in my eyes, but they're also mirrors of each other. They're like two sides of the same coin, and my hope is that this means that we will indeed see Ludens in an outer space setting at some point in Death Stranding. As I've said before, Ludens' design is just too cool to not use him somehow in Kojima's upcoming game. Before I end this video, there's one last connection I would like to point out, but this one is a bit more circumstantial. One of the things that I discussed in one of my previous videos is that Death Stranding might feature some references to the classic movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, from the baby that could be Death Stranding's own Star Child to the 5 monolithic figures at the end of the trailer, which very much give off the same ominous vibe as 2001's own monoliths, along with the notion of the stick being mankind's first invention, which is one of the first things that the movie shows. In the logo movie, one of the things that we are shown is the sun rising from behind this planet in the background. This imagery just so happens to be exactly how the movie 2001 opens, so perhaps this further suggests a connection between the movie logo and Death Stranding, and perhaps this further tells us that we'll be seeing a lot of 2001 references in Kojima's new game. But again, this last bit is more circumstantial. The stick and rope connection, on the other hand, seems quite clear to me, and it gives me further confidence in assuming that Kojima's lying about Ludens and the logo movie being irrelevant to Death Stranding. That's just my opinion, and all we can really do now is wait and see. So there you have it, folks, part 2 of my Kojima Productions logo movie analysis. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts and theories about the parallels between the logo movie and Death Stranding. Do you think there's something there, or am I reaching? Let us know in the comments below, and to be further updated on Death Stranding news, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out!